Hey, what's up everyone, Maury Croson here, and today we're going to be going over the 5 steps to a great wrist flick, and we're going to start the video right now. Alright guys, so I know I've made a ton of videos about the wrist flick, and that's just because I cannot get over the importance that it has of being able to throw the ball effectively. And I think some people might have the misinterpretation that the wrist flick is just something you either have or you don't have, and that kind of separates people, and it's the same with speed. And I will say that I do think this is something that is taught, but you have to understand all 5 parts here. It's not like you can only get one of these and be able to make it work. It's like you have to do all 5 of these in order to have the most success and really guarantee your results in terms of being able to have a strong wrist flick as the ball is coming out of your hand. And this is something, again, that I've had to develop myself to be able to improve my own wrist flick. First thing that we're going to go into is going to be the load, right? Because when it comes to being able to do this, it's not just that. And so when we first load, what we want to be able to do, and I see a lot of guys kind of do this, you can kind of stay down here, you know, kind of like Tom Brady, but the big thing is you got to have the nose of the football going back, right? So it needs to be that action. It can't be just straight back or going here. And really, you don't want to go too much here either, just because that gives you a tendency to get the ball back behind the head. And so what we want to do is we want to be cocking that wrist, so it's like that action where we're going here. Step 2 is as you initialize coming forward with the football, you have to keep that wrist neutral, right? And that's the biggest thing that I see is people, as they load, they'll break here, right? And they let that wrist bend, and they let the elbow go below. I will say that you want to, from this position, right, we don't want to go too much into getting the wrist here. We want to keep that wrist pretty neutral. And then as we're coming forward, we want to be able to initialize this step without breaking the wrist. So as I'm coming forward with the elbow, coming forward with the wrist, I'm not breaking it all here. I'm keeping it neutral, okay? So I'm here, keeping it neutral as I come through. And what the next thing is, so that's step 2. Step 3 is as I'm coming forward, rotate with the wrist as I'm bringing the elbow through, right? So I want to be able to actually actively turn the wrist so the nose of the football is facing forward. Or if I'm throwing the deep throw, I want to be able to turn the football so I'm able to get my hand in a C position. I'm going to still be able to get the nose, you know, facing forward to some degree, just going to be a little bit more of an upward position as I'm coming forward. So it's not going to be here and then coming here and then getting my hand stuck behind the ball or getting that nose facing off to the side or down or up or anything like that. What we want to be able to do is we want to be able to utilize the muscles in the hands and the bones in the hands to be able to allow our wrist to be able to come this way, right? I see a lot of people that really have a lot of movement going on here. As the ball's coming out of their hands, there's almost too much of that action and not enough of that forward action. And then there's some people that just only have that kind of forward position where they're only like pushing off with their index finger there. And so we want to be able to utilize all 3 planes. So we want to be able to flick the wrist forward. We want to be able to have a lateral movement coming forward and through as we're twisting that wrist to be able to get that wrist around. And then we also want to be rotating as we're coming through, rotating within the shoulder, rotating within the wrist, and also flicking the wrist through. So it's a triplanar movement as we're releasing the football, and that's going to be built by being able to come around with the football here and make it so now we're getting our forearm in a fairly upward position. You can be in these different spots, right? But you want to be able to get that C position of your hand and your wrist. So step 3 is here, right? Coming forward and really turning the wrist as we're driving the elbow through. Step 4 is being able to get our hand in a C position, not a U position. So when we're about to release the ball, we got to be here. Okay, so there's 4 steps to be able to get ourselves in the right position to be able to flick the wrist correctly. It's really important for you to understand. This is a 5-step video. 4 of these steps are making it so we could just get your wrist in the right position to be able to then go through that triplanar wrist flick where we're getting the ball to come forward, we're getting the ball to be able to rotate, right? We're going in rotating through the hand, and we're also bringing the ball around to be able to create a lateral movement in the wrist, right? So it's a 3-plane here, coming around here, flicking the wrist forward, rotating as we're coming through to make it so we're working in the sagittal plane, which is forward and back, and the frontal plane, which is side to side, and then the transverse plane, which is rotational. And if you can get all 3 planes into that wrist flick, that's going to make it so you can consistently throw a spiral. It can make it so you could really load the body in the way to be able to, best utilize your arm strength and really your body strength to be able to throw the football. But a lot of guys are struggling from a throwing perspective because they're not able to use their body. The reason you're not able to use your body is you're having a hard time syncing up everything within that wrist flick to make it so now you can get consistent results every time you throw the football. So, that's a big part of being able to understand what you can do in order to improve as a quarterback. If you like the information, click that thumbs up down below. This was a great video, guys. Honestly, it could help you out a ton.